You guys, we're really, really excited that everybody's here tonight to support what is just a cause that's incredibly dear to our hearts and something we've just really committed our lives to. And we could not be happier than to share it with all of you in this room. We have never opened in a way, we've actually never been up here together. We've never opened up this way. Most everything else we do is together, so it just seemed right. But one of the things we wanted to do is also different than any other year, and that is acknowledge some of the game changers that have been a part of what we've seen happen in our community over the last 9-10 years and joined us in this effort. Before we do that, we do want to acknowledge, can I just get a show of hands of anybody that was here last year? Look at that. We put on a good party to come back to. We wanted, yeah, that's the party table right there. We did want to share with you a little bit of what we've seen happen because of your giving last year before we go into this. And throughout the whole year, we have been able to reach just a number of women and girls that we've never been able to reach before. And it's because the support continues to grow and grow that we then have capacity to do more and more. So we want to say thank you. Because of your gifts and your time and your contributions, this year alone, since January, Awaken has reached 161 women and children. Sadly, and yet, thankfully, because of your support, 53 of those were minors from our community. 53. That actually leads me into the first game changer we want to acknowledge tonight. We're calling these the game changer acknowledgements because these were the people that, over the years, Jen and I really believe have done something to genuinely change the course of what we're doing in our community. And they've come in and they've made change, they've impacted. And the first game changer, actually, that we're going to acknowledge is also our title sponsor, the Yamadas. And they're not our first game changers just because they're our title sponsors. Like, this is real. How many years ago? 2, 3 years ago? 3 years ago. We approached the Yamadas and, well, first of all, 5 years ago, if you all read in the program, you'll hear the real story of how we met. I got bid on in the silent auction. And then I became friends with the Yamadas. And they were the first ones to come in and say, hey, what do you want to do that you're not doing yet? And it was working with minors. At the time, we had primarily just worked with adults, and that's who we saw. But we started to do some efforts in the community. And as we did those efforts, we knew we were going to start, as a community, start identifying the minors that are being trafficked. And the Yamadas were the first one that said, we're going to invest in that. It was not happening yet, but we were going to invest in what we believe is the potential to stand in a gap and fill that and be there for these kids. And as a result, you can see it has paid off. And so we want to thank you guys tonight for believing in us.
Before Awaken ever had programming, before we even had staff, we had the support of our local churches. The local church believed in us from day one, and because of that, we were able to establish Awaken on a solid foundation. Brent Brooks and RCF, they dreamed up and hosted our first annual banquet. And look how far we've come in 8 years. Grace Church as well, they donated their year-end giving our very first year because they believed in the restoration of these women. Impact Women, you guys have truly become mentors that our girls look up to. And a conference that you host, they look forward to attending all year. Cornerstone Community Church. Yes, you guys over here. You guys love us well, and you've adopted our entire organization. You bring us up to Lake Tahoe every Wednesday to experience the beauty of Lake Tahoe. Kayak, tube, paddleboard, many for the first time. When we asked one of our house residents if there was any event, activity, group that Awaken offers that should be available to 100% of the world, what would it be? And she enthusiastically exclaimed, Water Wednesday. So thank you. Thank you to every church across our valley that has believed in us, that has hosted awareness nights, prayer and worship nights, that have opened your doors to receive our staff and our women and children in, who continue to give generously and encourage your members to get involved. We could not do this work without you, so thank you.
Our next game changer is a friend that I've known since before Awaken existed, and before she was, are you guys gonna put it up? We gotta properly say Assemblywoman Jill Towles. So Jill was one of the first people in a position of influence to catch vision on actually how to go after the whole system of prostitution and trafficking. And research tells us it's, the whole thing is fueled by the demand, and what the demand is the purchasers of the sex. If nobody was purchasing sex, this would not exist. And legislatively, there are efforts that could take place to help that. And all the data and the surveys and the interviewers of people who buy sex say, increased penalties would deter me from buying sex. And I don't want to do it. And I need deterrence because most of them statistically show they struggle with impulse control. And she heard that. And she took it to legislation. And she unanimously got penalties increased to the purchasers of sex in our entire state of Nevada. She's also an advocate in her role as a professor as well, and has created conversations around this issue and brought it to the forefront in the universities where it's already taking place, these conversations, but she's creating intellectual conversations, not just sort of clickbait types of conversations, thoughtfulness to the issue. So we really value that as well. And as you can see, you guys should look at them, not us. Can we go back? There was one other photo I was going to try to show. Down at the bottom, she's also been a speaker of some incredible women's conferences that we've done. And so we want to acknowledge that, just her heart to care for us as an organization, us as people, and this issue, because she has truly stepped in and changed the game for this, for our entire state.
And I would love to chime in, because Jill, thank you for taking the time to teach me how to craft and deliver a speech so that I could be up here after 5 years of not. And so I really appreciate you and your friendship.
Getting Jen up here has been a game changer for our banquets.
Yes. 6 years ago, we were invited into Domani Ranch High School to speak to their freshman girls on what recruitment and trafficking looks like in our community. Since then, we have spoken to over 9,000 students. We've been in 30 different high schools all across northern Nevada. And it is thanks to Lindsay Ridges with Reno Sparks Young Life. Ooh, getting emotional. Linz, your heart and passion for students and our participants is incredible. You live generously and you love the furthest kid out. You spend countless hours thinking up curriculum ideas, presenting our assemblies, and connecting with schools so that we are able to reach every single middle school and high schooler. Not to mention, you continue to bring our girls to youth group and summer camp, letting them experience Jesus' adventure in the best week of their life. Thanks. That was a tough one.
So our next game changer is somebody who has just provided, an incredible amount of support and legal advocacy for women who have survived just atrocious things that have happened in their lives. Jason Guinasso has really stepped into this game, into this battle, and advocated tirelessly for this issue. In just the couple of years that Jason has been providing pro bono legal services, I had to write this down because these numbers astounded me. He's at least provided pro bono legal services to 25 survivors. As a result of his dedication and generosity, victims' convictions have been vacated or sealed. Pornographic images have been taken off the internet. He's also helped recover, He's also helped recover property and money owed in child custody cases. Jason has totaled, you guys get this, 1,500 hours of pro bono legal services. Which values to over $500,000 of services. So we thank you. Jason has absolutely changed the game and the narrative of this.
This next man claims he isn't a miracle worker, but history says otherwise. Jimmy Deal.
Jimmy Deal.
Jimmy Deal. You ensure the safety of everyone traveling through the airport, but especially to our participants. I have seen you go out of your way to have personal conversations with them, to encourage them to get on the flight and to make sure they either get home or to a program safely. And you ensure when we send a girl out of state that there's someone to greet her at the gate. You also allow us to go right to the gate to meet someone. And so we are so thankful for the fact that you always answer your phone. It does not matter the time of day. You always pick up, and you will do everything in your power to ensure the safety and just the quality of care for our participants. You are also instrumental in the Reno airport becoming a safe place where those affected by prostitution and human trafficking and abuse can go to for resources. And the training of every single employee in the Reno airport is now trained on how to spot a victim and where they can go to for help. You're making a big difference. Thank you.
Our next game changer I met a few years ago, and she had approached us saying, hey, what are hospitals doing to advocate, to assist, and to identify victims within our own ERs, within our own places that we could help with? And at the moment, there was no conversation within the hospitals or any medical facilities that we were engaged in that could advocate for change or knew how to. And Wendy Domani said, well, let's do something about that. What we learned after her coming to us and saying, what can we do? What we actually learned is upwards 87% of victims end up in the ER at some point in their exploitation, and only 3% are identified and offered services. She identified something long before the curve of us knowing it, and it is that there is an incredible opportunity in the hospitals and the medical facilities to identify and help. After Wendy caught wind of it, I don't know if you know her, but she's an implementer. She's going to do something about it. And so she brought the first hospital-wide and community-wide training into that hospital and brought in a 2-day training. We brought in professionals from out of state, and we were able to train hundreds of medical professionals and direct service providers on how to identify victims of trafficking in your ER facilities. As a result, yeah, you can give her a hand on that. As a result of that training, because training is great, but what we've seen happen is this beautiful bridge between the hospitals to Awaken case managers. And it's what's considered like a warm handoff versus kind of a cold call. And we have had the highest rates of success because of their training, because of them now identifying this, understanding it, having compassion, and bringing Awaken in to offer services right there and them accommodating that. And we have had incredible successes as a result of Wendy and the efforts she's done. And then we've seen additional hospitals get on board and follow the trend. So we thank you so much for that.
The FBI estimates that over 60% of youth who are trafficked have involvement in the child welfare system. Upon learning this, Shannon McCoy with Washoe County Human Service Agency stepped up and has truly spearheaded the movement locally. She has intentionally handpicked and trained specific social workers and case managers to be trained and to really be specialized in dealing with this population. Shannon, Heather, your entire team, we could not do this work without you. We thank you so much for your willingness to host our monthly MDT, where all of us in the community can actually get together each month and give our clients the best quality of care and chance that they have. We dream up new programming and creative and better ways to address problems. And so I thank you for your leadership in our community and the work that you're doing. Thank you.
One of the efforts that Shannon is advocating for that we want to partner with and we want to bring to your attention, if you guys make sure you open your programs, on the next to last page, there is an opportunity that we want to partner with along with social services. There are upwards 120 teens in the foster system right now in our community. You've already heard our numbers. We worked with 53 minors last year alone. 60% of kids in foster care are often vulnerable and identified in human trafficking stings. This is an area we can absolutely impact and change. And so we're looking for families that are interested and able and healthy to be a specialized foster home for the youth that are vulnerable and have been trafficked. And so you will find there's orientation dates coming up that you can attend to actually say, hey, I'm in a position to do something for these kids. And what Awaken is going to do is provide supportive services for those families working with those kids and bringing those kids into your home. So we do ask that you help take a look at that and attend the orientation. The next game changer I am so happy is a game changer, and that is the city of Reno. The city of Reno is just in this unique opportunity to have impact. And, you know, it was maybe 3 years ago, there was a conversation that started to take place within city council meetings. Do you guys remember this? It's around strip clubs. So you do, good. We were hoping you were aware of that. So what we saw happen over 3 years of conversation is Reno City Council advocated to bring in some regulations that makes it so much harder for these establishments to get away with some of the atrocities that had been gotten away with prior. They raised the minimum age of being able to dance in the club from 18 to 21. Do you guys know this? This is huge. One reason we are aware of why that is so important is because an owner of 3 strip clubs is a track coach at our local high school. And we had seen kids from that high school coming into our drop-in center saying, I think I'm gonna go work in the strip club. And we'd say, well, would you like to talk to somebody who's done that first? And they said, that's all right. I know Cammie. He told me I'd always have a job. Because of track. So raising the minimum age means that high schools are no longer a recruiting ground for strip club owners. And so they did that change. One of the things they're looking at right now is how to reduce illicit massage parlors, because this is the other thing that's popping up. And so they're looking at ways to create business licenses to make it harder to get and impossible to get if you are an illicit massage parlor, and to not just, if you're caught, then pop up another business, which is what the trend is. And so we're supportive of those efforts as they look into ways to make our city safer. In addition, one thing that the mayor and Assemblywoman Jill Towles is doing right now is they've formed a Northern Nevada sex trafficking task force. And they have joined forces and brought together all these amazing stakeholders and direct service providers and community leaders to say, how can we all be a part of the solution to make our city safe? So these guys are truly changing the game for our entire community, and I'm really, really happy about that.
I can remember the first time a local trafficker was arrested, and the charge read trafficking of a minor. It was 2016 and unheard of at the time for that charge to stick. Now in 2019, this year alone, we have seen 11 traffickers get arrested. And just 2 weeks ago, we saw the charge of up to 22 years. We have gone from seeing 10% of one man's job dedicated to prostitution and trafficking to now 2 full-time officers. Derek Jones paved the way, but Wes, AJ, the entire set team, Rand, the sheriff's office, FBI, Reno, and Sparks. We could not do this work without you. Amen, yeah, thanks. We treat our women and children with respect. And there's been a shift to actually target the traffickers and see the women and children set free and to receive services. And so we thank you for your teamwork and for being a backing to truly seeing change in our community.
Our next game changers are personal game changers for Awaken and for the women we serve. As you heard in our Safe City vision, we never dreamed of one safe house being the solution, but we always believed that that house would happen when the city began to get safe, and that would sort of be the kind of fruition of that testimony. And last year, there was donors that remain anonymous, donated a house that is now Awaken's transitional house. We officially opened doors in January, and we have just been incredibly pleased to see what happens when we have this type of capacity and accessibility to work with the women, the residents in our house. It has just been just an absolute blessing for us, but we're watching lives change as a result of it. Because of having this house, one thing we did was create programming specifically to the residents in the house. Well, we found that the programming that's for these the residents is good enough that we now want to make a 2020 initiative to have additional women that are seeking services from Awaken have access to the program. So as a result, this is now just a launch pad to expand our opportunities to reach more women with more services that they can then take advantage of for deeper healing work to continue. So we're really excited as another 2020 initiative to happen because of these game changers. And these are things we couldn't predict, but you step in and you say, anybody wants to step in with a house, you are welcome to do so. Because it really absolutely changes lives and then sets us on a course to reach additional women with these programs that we're able to offer. So we are so thankful for them.
This next game changer has been my biggest supporter and my biggest advocate. Mom, thank you for believing in me and for always encouraging me to pursue my passion. I knew from day one that I needed to get my mom bought into the idea that her daughter was going to be in the anti-trafficking movement. And so I thought, what is my mom good at? And it's care packages. And so since day one, she has sent countless care packages to our women and our girls out of state, so they know that we are still here and we are still remaining in relationship. She has gifted countless Christmas gifts to our girls, and you continue to donate baskets, and she made all of the baskets for our silent auction tonight. And so we cannot thank you enough.
Well, and like that.
Yeah, and most importantly, thank you for always bringing cheesecakes to the office. I love you, Mom.
I do need you to let me know when you bring the cheesecake to the office, though, because I'm like the last to know every time, and I miss it sometimes. Our last game changer is my mom. And my mom is, yeah. And I can't mention my mom without acknowledging she's an identical twin, and today is their birthday. My mom, I wouldn't be able to do anything that I do without having the mom that I have. She is one of the most nurturing, loving moms. She cares for our entire staff. She brings every holiday, decorations, treats, all kinds of stuff for our entire team, baked goods. The community board, have you guys seen the community board back here? This was her vision, because my mom writes our thank you cards. People that we haven't seen for 3 decades still get thank you cards from my mom, and Christmas cards and holiday cards. This is her natural expression of love. And so she does that voluntarily for our organization. And she called me one day, she goes, Melissa, I don't know if people realize, by the way, she has a lot of ideas for the banquets that are really good. Do you guys remember the gift card tree raffle? That's her as well. But this year, it was because of the thank you cards. She said, do you guys, I don't think most people realize just the breadth and the reach that this community has and is a part of and contributing to the organization. She goes, I see it because I do all the thank you notes, but I think you should find a way to show them. So the community board in the back, all of the photos that are back there, that was because of her idea to let everybody see just how far connected this community is to be a solution to the efforts of human trafficking for our community and a part of the organization. So we thank you, Mom, for being our game changer.
Daddy.
Yeah, you're up.